again, fight fans. I am Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and I am joined by a man who will be competing inside the octagon on January 18th at UFC 246. On that night, he will be looking to win a third straight fight to begin his UFC career when he takes on the tough and durable veteran Chas Skelley. And that man is known as the Prophet, but you can also just call him Grant, Mr. Dawson, sir, whatever you have. Grant, what is up, man? Thanks for giving me some time before this latest foray into the octagon.
Absolutely, brother. That's what I do.
Now, before we get into this upcoming fight, I want to go back to the win over Trezano. He may not have the experience cachet of some of your other opponents, like, say, a Julian Erosa, but he is a legit name with a lot of respect from observers of the sport because of what he did in the Ultimate Fighters, from a good gym and Tiger Showman's, you know, the upside he has on a skill level. Was he one of the most talented fighters you have faced yet, or do you think guys from the Ultimate Fighter maybe they get a little bit too much cred, too much hype, and guys like you that came from the Contender Series are really where the top future stars of the sport is coming from?
Man, I don't think that. I definitely think that he was my toughest fight to date. Okay. But that's the level that you're gonna face in the UFC. You know, even the guys who suck are really good in the UFC. So, but just because he's my toughest fight doesn't mean that I won't run through him. You know, Chaz is my next toughest fight to date, but that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna run through him. You know, these guys are all tough, but so am I, and I'm here to show that I'm not just tough. I've got the skill to back it up.
I love that quote, and I can see that as a headline. Even the guys who suck are really, really good. Because it's true, you know, the UFC is the highest level. In the post-fight interview, you mentioned you and the team expected Trezano to be difficult to take down the first round, which he was. And he was able to get, you know, back up on one occasion, even though you are told to expect serious resistance like that. How do you maintain the game plan when you actually do get in there and you feel him and he's resisting and he's putting up a fight? Do you take the small victories that you earned, like the 2 takedowns in that first round, and while they may not have been damaging and got big results, is that kind of like an example? Okay, I'm getting him down, the game plan is working right, and that kind of just, you know, gives you that determination, like just straight ahead, it's working, it'll get to where my coaches have told me it's gonna go.
Well, for me, I think that it's a lot of it is to do with my teammates and training partners. You know, we got a lot of guys that are really hard to hold down. We got a lot of guys that, you know, get up well and are hard to take down. So that's not new to me, you know. And one thing these guys don't realize is that when I get a hold of you, it's just different, man. You know, you can watch the Trezano fight and the Erosa fight and think, oh, you know, he got up and he stuffed this. Man, I've got the same energy from round 1 to round 5. So if you think that I'm going to slow down, or if you think I'm going to get discouraged because you stuffed a couple of my takedowns, like, you're sadly mistaken, man. I've got 15 more coming for you, and I'm going to keep going until you give up. You know, I think that pressure that I put on, I know that these guys can't hang with it. I know they can't keep up with that pressure and that pace. So for me, it's just about not getting discouraged and just keeping on it.
And I'm so glad you brought up the pressure, because that perfectly transitions into the next question. Because I love a fighter who can pressure effectively. You know, mix it up, change levels in the grappling, give a heavy output. We see it, what it has done for guys like Daniel Cormier, Kamaru Usman, Covington. In the post fight, you also mentioned you have, you know, a heavy output. You know, you average 105 strikes thrown around. To talk to me and the folks that'll watch this about why you feel pressure and output is such a difficult style to deal with, and why it has been so successful in your 14-1 run in the sport and now 2-0 start in the UFC.
Man, you know, I just coming back from my beginning days, you know, the thing that they preached was pressure. You know, if I'm hitting him, he can't be hitting me that much, and if he is hitting me, at least I'm getting mine in. You know, right. One of the things that just from my days in wrestling, my coaches were always, hey, pressure, 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 aggression, 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 especially when you have the cardio and the strength to back it up, you know. And I really feel like I do. I don't think that I'm going to get tired in 5 rounds. I don't think I'm going to get tired in 10 rounds. So for me, I don't have a whole lot of knockout power, you know. I don't hit very hard. So instead of one shot wonder, it's got to be punches and bunches, you know. And I kind of, from day one, I knew that. I knew, hey, I'm not going to be sleeping anybody with one shot. So it's got to be punches and bunches. And man, it's not the pain, it's the duration, you know. Like, I'd rather get hit one time out cold than 150 times in one round, and then shoot, I still got 2 more rounds of this. it's just discouraging. That's how you break people, man. You just get on them and you tell them like, hey, this isn't going to slow down and it's not going to stop.
And it's oddly enough, I just talked to O'Day Osborne, who fights on the same card. He was talking about pressure in his last fight, and I talked to Pedro Carvalho, who's in the Bellator Grand Prix, featherweight Grand Prix, about it. Both pressure kind of guys, and they talked about how, and I wonder if you agree that when you're putting the pressure on someone, also it kind of like just short circuits their game plan. It's so hard to back up and deal with it that what they expected and their focus is kind of just thrown off from all that output. Like you said, you throw 105 punches. Have you noticed in your career too, along with just overwhelming them, it just kind of maybe they change as a fighter in there because they're putting such a hard pressure on them?
Yeah, man, and I think part of it too is just like the discouragement of it's not going away. I fought a couple of guys that are big one punch power guys, and just being on them, and they try, hey man, I've got him now, and then it's like, nah, man, you don't got me, I got you. And so it's like their like gas meter goes down, and mine's staying the same, and they can see that, and I can see that. They're like, this just isn't worth it. This isn't worth. I'm not getting this guy off me. The one punch power that I thought was necessary isn't working. So that's when you just start getting desperate. When you get desperate, that's a bad thing, man.
For the amateurs out there that don't know what it's like to be in a cage like you, talked about that like meter you just said, almost like the video game gas meter going down. What are the specific tells for something like that? Is it a noise? Is it a heavy breathing? Is it just a sluggishness that comes? What are the tells for someone that their energy bar is going down?
Man, it's all about poker face and stance. When I see it's about posture, right? Like if they're postured, I can see their brain working. I know it's not time yet, but when you start to see that, they settle into the fight and they just start like their shoulders come down, you got them. I'm going to tell you, when you see that, that's the time to put it on, guys. That's the time to get after it. When you see that weakness, attack it.
Is it almost like an energy boost? When you see it, it gives you an extra something?
Oh, yeah. When you see that you're breaking something, there's no better feeling in this sport, or really anything, breaking somebody. They're like, hey, I prepared 8 weeks for you, and you're the better man. So here you have it, and just being on top of it. I tell people all the time, I've got 13 finishes, and they're all by quit. They're all by they gave up. It was a submission or a TKO, but it was, hey, I'm done. You win, uncle,
Now, for your opponent on the 18th, Chas Skelley. Skelly is a tough grinder who has been in the UFC for going on 6 years, although he hasn't been a very busy fighter in that time. He's a guy that can be a bit of a handful on the mat for some people. Is he the best grappler you face yet in your career? Just grab, because we talk about Trezano's probably maybe the best skill, but on a grappling level, is he the best you faced yet? And from preparing for him, what makes him not an easy day at the office for a lot of his opponents when it comes to fighting on the mat?
I would definitely think that he's the best grappler that I've faced yet, but I'm the best fighter he's ever going to face.
Oh, wow.
And I get it. I'm 2-0. I understand the criticism I'm going to get, and that's fine. You all can believe it now or you all can believe it later. It doesn't really matter to me. He's going to come out there and he's going to try to grapple me. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to try to fight him. So I definitely think that he brings some new challenges, and he's kind of like the shiny new object, that I get to test my wrestling against. He wrestled in college, and I could have wrestled in college, but instead I decided to pursue MMA, and now that's going to pay off. He does have a lot of experience. This is a very high level fight for me and a very high level card, but under the lights, man, under that pressure, I do even better. So him being my toughest opponent to date is just going to bring out the best in me. I really do believe that.
And I'm glad you brought that up about, the tests and stuff like that, because at this level and where you're at in your career, every kind of moment and test an opponent is another, move up or development, part of the development process for fighters still. You're so young in the sport. What do you feel is it that he brings to you that is your test, your shiny new thing that makes it unique from every other opponent? Is it the grappling? Is it the experience? Him having a lot of fights and having a lot in the UFC? Is it just going toe-to-toe with another grinder that's been grinding at the top level? Is it all those things? Is it something else? What makes him that shiny new toy?
I think it's the willingness to engage in grappling with me. Okay. I think that 90% of the guys that I have fought have said, I'm going to stuff the takedown and I'm going to strike with him. And then when stuffing the takedown doesn't work, they all break. One thing that's really, one thing that's really exciting for me is we know what the game plan is. Chaz is going to try to wrestle me. I'm going to try to wrestle him. I'm going to fight him from bell to bell. So you guys are going to be able to see some defensive wrestling and some re-wrestling. There's going to be a lot of awesome scrambles here. And I think that one thing I think that he's underestimating is my ability to continue scrambling over 15 to 25 minutes. I don't think that he can wrestle with me. I don't think he beats me in a wrestling match. I don't think he beats me in a striking match. I don't think he beats me in checkers. So going out there, you're talking about the shiny new object. He's going to put on the offensive wrestling on me, and I get to show that it ain't going to work.
I mean, and talking about the wrestling, and you also brought up the striking, it seems like that's probably his best chance to win. I mean, it's usually his best chance to win most fights. That's his strength. Is there an idea in this fight to maybe go to that heavy striking output like we've talked about? Maybe don't give him the satisfaction of giving him the option of going to the mat where he has his best chance to win. Do we see that maybe taking it from 105 strikes around, maybe we kick it up to 120, keep it on the feet, 130, and just output, and just overwhelm him on the feet? And also maybe that's another level of development. Is that a possibility in this fight? Or you like to grind and grapple, and he's going to be in for it there?
The difference between me and Chas is that he's a grappler and I'm a fighter. So I will take the fight wherever I'm going to win it. And I think that one thing is I'm going to blend everything together, right? Okay. I'm going to give a high output in strikes on the feet. I'm going to give a high output on the ground. I'm going to look for submissions. Just because he's good at something that I'm good at doesn't mean I'm going to shy away from it. I'm going to set up my wrestling. I'm going to take him down and I'm going to beat him up until he quits. And I understand that Chas is tough. I understand that he is a very durable guy, and I do respect him. And I don't respect a whole lot of people, but I do respect his toughness. But I've fought tough people before, and I'm going to make him quit like I've made the rest of them quit.
You fight out of Glory MMA and Fitness under the multi-talented James Krause. I interviewed James before his last fight, and we talked about preparing for life after fighting. And he talked to me about how he made sure to invest much of his early UFC money. And he also felt like, young fighters should keep the side jobs or full-time jobs they had going into the UFC, even a little bit into their careers. I mean, has his teachings, have you, are you on a similar path? Are you planning to follow a similar blueprint with your already success, 2 wins? Are you going the invest route and keep doing the side work until you get a little bit more comfortable? What's your plan as you start this UFC run?
My plan is to have financial freedom for the rest of my life. I don't ever want to work another day job. I want to do what I want to do for the rest of my life. I got big plans after the UFC. And for that, I need money. So I think one thing that I was very blessed with was falling into a camp with a guy like James. James is here to make me a good fighter. He's here to make me a good human being and a successful man. He always says, I'm not a businessman. I'm a business, my man. And so I really want to I want to take that. Obviously, I love fighting. The only thing I think about is fighting. Now that I've made some money doing that, we've got big goals for 2020. I enjoyed not having a job. I enjoyed, just focusing on fighting. Now, 2020 is the year I'm going to focus on fighting and setting up my financial freedom for the rest of my life.
What are these big plans? Are you going, you need the money for like a presidential run 2032? Or what's all this big money? What you got the money for?
All in good time, my friend.
All right.
All in good time.
All right, fair enough. Now, of course, your nickname. I'm always fascinated by fighters' nicknames, and the better the nickname, the more fascinating. The Prophet, that's a good one. You don't hear that too much, and I've been told that fighters usually don't give their nicknames. They don't give themselves their nickname, like a coach or a trainer or even a teammate gives it to them. So how do you become the Prophet? How did you get that name?
Okay, so I got to clear you up here a little bit. I don't go by the Prophet anymore.
Oh, okay.
A couple years ago, we kind of stopped doing that. I don't know why it keeps showing up. I've tried to
on all the sites.
Yeah. But how it came about was I came from a Christian gym.
Okay.
Back in the day, and my coach was very wanted to do the whole Christian thing, and it was great and all that, but it's not something that I go by really anymore. But I used to tell people, they would be like, "Why the Prophet?" And I was like, "'Cause I don't make any money."
Did other fighters in that gym, did they have other biblical names? Like guys were like the Holy Trinity, the Holy Spirit, anything like that?
No, it was a pretty small gym. It was really just me and another guy, and they called him Heavy Hands. I don't know why. I don't know why I got stuck with the biblical name.
Well, I mean,
but,
I'd take the prophet over heavy hands. So heavy hands is very could be scary in a way. So are we gonna come up with another name, or it's just gonna be Grand Dawson? Just keep it simple as that.
I call my fighter nickname on the UFC is KGD, and basically it stands for King Grant Dawson. And one thing that when I was growing up, coming up in the sport was, you know, kings and knights and all that kind of stuff always fascinated me, and I always liked that route. Max Holloway does a lot of that king stuff, and I'm all about that. I wanted something a little bit different though, because you got Bobby King Green, you got King Gordon Ryan, like everybody's king now, you know. So I just kind of wanted to make it my own little thing. So I just thought KGD sounded cool. And if you think about it, a lot of the, if you go GSP, you already know who that is. You know, if I go RDA, you already know who that is. JDS, you already know who these guys are just by initials like that. So I kind of wanted something like that. My only issue that after I decided that was it was I ran into there's a fighter called KGB.
Okay, yeah.
Andrea Lee.
Oh,
Andrea
true.
Lee.
Yeah.
She's called KGB. Yeah. So as long as me and her don't fight, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I don't think that we're gonna get to that level quite.
Yeah. I don't want us to get different weight class.
Yeah, that's exact true. And I always like to end the interviews at, learning a little bit more about the subject, because I get how all-consuming fighting and that life is and a training camp is. It's consuming physically and it's consuming mentally, and it's a drain. And you kind of need to get away from it to just bring it down, diffuse, clear your head. When I was talking to O'Day Osborne earlier, he was talking about he does meditation, and that's one of his things for like 4 hours, which blew me away. I've had people tell me about cooking, video games, and big movie fans, hiking, motorcycle riding. What does KGD like to do when he's not doing anything that has to do with fighting?
I can't remember the last time I did something that has nothing to do with fighting. I hang out with my girl, my girlfriend, Elle Wagman. We hang out a lot, and we go see movies, and we like to eat at new places.
What's the last good movie you saw with her?
What's that?
What's the last good movie you guys saw together?
We went and saw Rise of Skywalker.
What'd you think?
Star Wars movie.
I saw it. What'd you think?
Yeah, it was great. We're both really big Star Wars fans. The Last Jedi was a terrible, terrible letdown.
Really? You didn't like it? Okay.
I hated that one. That was so bad. I liked Force Awakens. I really liked Force Awakens. And then the Rise of Skywalker was really good. The Mandalorian, if you haven't seen that yet.
Of course I have.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Who's better
for you? It's a bright future for Star Wars fans.
Who's better for you? Who do you like more, Baby Yoda or Babu from the Rise of the Skywalker?
Baby Yoda for sure.
Really? All right. Yeah, that's a good choice. But Babu.
Baby Yoda is all the way.
Babu made a really good impression on me just in one show. I like that guy. He could fix things and stuff like that. It was fun.